Welcome to the DCYF Trainers Training. This module is the DCYF Learning Organization. It's a second part of the training series for the DCYF Trainers Training. And here's the agenda. We're going to review the learning objectives, and we're going to talk about what a learning organization is. We're going to drill down into the 5 disciplines. You'll also be given an activity with personalized case studies based on one of the disciplines, and you're going to report out on your learning organization discipline. And if this was a classroom training, I'd talk about wrapping up and working on a poster that was used throughout the entire training to gain information that they would present at the end as kind of an evaluation tool. And this is our learning objective for this module on the learning organization. Trainers will perform an understanding of what a learning organization is by providing examples of their training as it relates to the definitions of a learning organization. The learners must be trained to evolve their curriculum to benefit their trainees' current positions and benefit a larger system. If this was a classroom training, I'd ask if there were any areas of a learning organization that they were already aware of that they'd like to spend more time on or explore more. And then I would definitely alter the training to address what the trainees wanted. To make this training more interactive, I created an interactive handout, an interactive PDF with 4 images. And those 4 images are going to play out through the training, this online training. And what you can do when you're prompted is click on the photo and it'll bring you to a website. This is the first instance of using the interactive handout, and it's a way to reach you through audio and video. This photo is Peter Senge. He's the author of the book The 5th Discipline, The Art and Practice of the Learning Organization from 1990, and then it was revised in 2006. He's the creator of the ideas and the disciplines around a learning organization. If you click on the interactive handout, the photo of Peter Senge, it'll bring you to a YouTube video of him explaining what a learning organization is. So I hope that video put what a learning organization is in perspective through the creator of the 5 disciplines of a learning organization. This next resource is a text version, so you can look through the different links on learning strategies for an organization, individual learning strategies, examples of learning organizations, and reference materials. So if you again look at your interactive PDF and click on the image that's on the slide right here, it'll bring you to a really great website where you can explore those. So now that we're getting an understanding of what a learning organization is, we should talk about what is the need. What is the need of a learning organization? A rapid pace of change demands an equal learning response from organizations. An organization's culture, operations, processes, and traditions is knowledge-based and collective. It is essential for the organization as a whole to create and share knowledge amongst each other. A learning organization is an organization that promotes learning of all of its members to transform them individually and the organization in which they belong. So before we go further into what a learning organization is by the disciplines, I thought we could talk about your needs and your organization's needs. If you go back to your interactive handout, this image will bring you to, if you click on it, a website where you can do a self-assessment of individual needs regarding a learning organization and organizational needs of a learning organization. So if you fill it out, it'll bring you to a page that'll assess where your organization's at and then provide strategies, individual strategies, learning strategies, and organizational learning strategies that can help either create or nurture a learning organization. So let's get started talking about the 5 disciplines of a learning organization. From top left to right is shared vision. It's the image of the eye. The next one's team learning. The bottom left is personal mastery. Bottom right, mental models. And what connects all of these is systems thinking. Throughout the discipline descriptions, you'll hear words like vision, mastery, cognition, behavior, which is mental models, and systems. The disciplines work off of each other. They can stand alone, but they're kind of interwoven and support each other. The first discipline is mental models, which are the assumptions held by individuals and organizations. This is also the culture of the individuals and the culture of the organization fed by these individuals. They are deeply ingrained assumptions or mental images that influence how we see the world and how we act. So how does DCYF perform this discipline, the discipline of mental models? They do it in training and field practice, primarily in 4 areas: the practice model, solution-focused philosophy, family development theory, and parallel process theory. The first one, the DCYF practice model, is composed of beliefs and guiding principles, and it provides a framework for desired behaviors, activities, and strategies. It's actually another module that we're going to touch on right after this module because it's important to DCYF practice. It's their mental model or their framework. The next one, solution-focused philosophy. It's based on solution-focused brief interventions or therapy. Solution-focused philosophy believes that change is constant by helping people identify the things that they wish to have changed in their life and also to attend to those things that are currently happening that they wish to continue to have happen. So briefly, it's what is working, let's keep doing that. What's not working, let's not do that. Let's find another way. Solution-focused behavioral therapists help their clients to construct a concrete vision or preferred future for themselves. So they help create or nurture a mental model that doesn't involve destructive, unhealthy, or negative behaviors. The next one, family development theory, is a big part of solution-based casework. We'll go more into family development theory, family development, and developmental tasks in another module for solution-based casework. But briefly, family development theory is an approach to studying families, which is useful in explaining patterned change, the dynamic nature of the family, and how change occurs in the family life cycle. The family model, the developmental model, based on where the family is at in the family development cycle and those specific developmental tasks based on the family developmental cycle, there are certain responsibilities that arise in the life of the family. So their family developmental area is their mental model, and there's certain tasks are certain changes that need to occur for them to be in an area where they should be in terms of family development. To be successful, family members need to adapt to changing needs and demands and to attend to tasks that are necessary to ensure family survival. They need to start shifting those mental models. The next one is parallel process theory, which is best described, and I'm going to save most of it for systems thinking, which is the 5th discipline, as it affects the child welfare organism. But for this sake, it is the construct that responding to and exposure to trauma creates a mental model in the work of child protection or juvenile justice that needs to be addressed in supervision, training, or other organizational support efforts. And this is one of the main reasons why we're having this training, is to make sure that everyone knows and can be an effective DCYF trainer to engage their audience and build credibility, but also to affect change. And we'll get more into that in systems thinking about how individual groups affect a larger system. So the next discipline is personal mastery, which is the commitment by an individual to the process of learning. This process is supported by a workplace culture of learning, and it's the ability to create desired results through an ongoing journey of self-discovery and genuine commitment to connect learning to organizational work. So how does DCYF do this in training and in the field? How do they perform this discipline of personal mastery? Connecting back to our training systems conversation, it's actually the first module of this training is the training systems of DCYF for personal mastery. Training is a competency-based system. So we have specific competencies for specific roles that you play in a DCYF district office. That could be a juvenile probation parole officer, That could be an assessment worker that assesses allegations of child abuse and neglect. It could be a family service worker that works with a family to correct the conditions of abuse and neglect, so hopefully the child can be reunified with their family. So we have very specific competencies on those roles. Workers every year do a training needs assessment that is specific to their set of competencies, but for system-wide integration, they also look at the competencies of a family service worker, or even a juvenile probation and parole officer, and they create an annual individual training plan. It's their training plan that they're going to perform throughout the year to build on the competencies that they want to see themselves grow in. For the field, there is the administration level, and then there's the district office level. On the administration level, we have program specialists in a variety of roles. We have an adolescent program specialist that looks for best practice strategies to working with the adolescent youth population in care. Permanency program specialist. Permanency is searching for lifelong connections. It's someone that they can connect to if they do exit care while still being in the system. Also, relative care specialists, looking for relatives of the family so that they don't go into foster care with someone that they don't know, if that's an option for them, that they can stay with a relative. That's at the administration level. At the district office level, it mirrors it, but it's more specific to being in the field. So the adolescent program specialist works with adolescent workers in the district office that actually work with the adolescent population of the youth in care. Same thing with the permanency program specialist, works with the permanency worker in the district office that are working with birth families, foster caregivers, birth families, relatives, to try to find a lifelong connection for these youth. They are specific roles that they play, and it's an example of personal mastery. The next discipline is shared vision, which is it's important in motivating the staff to learn, as it creates a common identity that provides focus and energy for learning. Shared visioning helps individuals to disperse training content amongst each other to create a fully informed system. The collective will learn what emanates from a conviction and commitment to a common cause. So how is this discipline performed by DCYF in training and in the field? Recently, DCYF has merged with what was called the Division for Juvenile Justice Services. So now DCYF is composed of child protection social workers, juvenile probation and parole officers, and staff at the Sununu Youth Services Center. As we have a unified practice model. Again, we'll be talking about the practice model in the next module, but that's the framework for practice. Also, we're merging the training system, which is another reason for this training, is to make sure that all audiences' needs are met, their personal mastery needs in wherever they are in assessment, family service, probation, and parole. In the field, there are monthly leadership meetings with supervisors, the heads of all three audiences, the supervisors of child protection, of juvenile justice, clinicians, and floor managers at the Sununu Youth Services Center. They all meet monthly. New Hampshire affords the ability for all the child protection and juvenile justice supervisors to meet so that they can create a shared vision to share with their staff at the district office level. We've also been incorporating youth and birth parent voice. We have the youth action pool of former or current youth in care that talk about their experiences in care or exiting care. It's really important for people to hear that in our trainings, but also at the district office. They consult too. Birth parents as well. Birth parents that have closed cases are able to share their voices with new workers to talk about how their case went, different assumptions that the caseworkers made, successes, things that went really well, and things that didn't go well. It helps create a shared vision of being in the system as a worker, as a birth parent, and as a youth. We also have a new model called solution-based casework, which we'll talk about in another module. But this philosophy, this way of doing case planning has really become collaborative, where everyone is starting to share a vision of what brought the family or the youth to the division's attention, either child protection or juvenile justice, and what can we share in terms of responsibilities in correcting those conditions and moving towards case closure. So now we're starting to see the disciplines work off each other, supporting each other within their specific roles. It's as if the 5 disciplines are a system themselves, unique in their roles, but supporting each other, creating a system. So right after shared visioning, we're going to go to team learning. The benefit of team or shared learning is that staff grow more quickly and the problem-solving capacity of the organization is improved through better access to knowledge and expertise. The synergetic power of working together and cooperating with others. Team learning occurs when members of the group suspend their assumptions and engage. CYF performs team learning through merged trainings, statewide trainings, and local district office trainings with a merged audience of child protection specific to that local region, like the Concord District Office or Laconia District Office, with the Laconia office or Concord District Office, juvenile probation and parole officers. So they're creating a shared vision while still having a personal mastery over their bureaus and their roles. And then in the field, in terms of DCYF practice, there's something called solution-based family team meetings, and we're going to be talking about solution-based casework again later on. But this is where a DCYF worker, child protection or juvenile justice, can create a shared vision with the family of what's going on, what brought them to the attention of DCYF, either child protection or juvenile justice, and kind of creating a shared responsibility of creating case plan goals and correcting the conditions among everyone in the room. And again, merged leadership meetings have been very important with the heads of child protection and the heads of juvenile justice, creating a shared vision and learning as a team. So the final discipline is the 5th discipline, which is systems thinking. Systems thinking states that all the characteristics must be apparent at once in an organization for it to be a learning organization. When the characteristics of an organization are apparent, assessing and affecting them become easier as a system and individual understands its operation. Understanding the whole rather than just the parts, Senge argues that without a grasp of systems, we can neither grow nor thrive as an organization or as an individual. So if you go back to your interactive handout, there's a photo that's on this slide that I think is a great example of systems thinking and how great ideas are brought on by systems thinking. Just click on the image and it'll bring you to the YouTube video. So how does DCYF perform this discipline of systems thinking? I talked about this in mental models. The best way to describe what they do in the field and in the training is through the parallel process theory. Parallel process has been defined as what happens when 2 or more systems, whether they consist of individuals, groups, or organizations, have significant relationships with one another. They tend to develop similar affects, cognitions, and behaviors, which are defined as parallel processes. Parallel processes can be set in motion in many ways, and once initiated, leave no one immune from their influence. So look at this graph right here of client, staff, and the organization. Just as the lives of people exposed to repetitive and chronic trauma, abuse, and maltreatment become organized around the traumatic experience, so too can entire systems become organized around the recurrent severe stress of trying to cope with a flawed mental model based on individual pathology. Again, the result can be seen in the chart in this graph. So clients on the left column, once they enter the system, they feel unsafe. They feel aggressive, angry, helpless, hopeless, hypervigilant, hyperaroused, fragmented, overwhelmed, confused, and depressed. The staff working with these clients can start to parallel those emotions. Again, feeling unsafe, angry, aggressive, helpless, hopeless, hypervigilance, hyper-aroused, fragmented, overwhelmed, confused, and demoralized. Now, the organization itself can organize the staff and clients working together. It can start to parallel that as feeling unsafe, punitive, stuck, missionless, crisis-driven, fragmented, overwhelmed, valueless, and directionless. That the system is starting to parallel its individual parts, or the individual parts on opposing ends are starting to mirror each other. So the way we're performing this discipline is understanding that process. What do we need to change in our mental models? What do we need to change in our culture, in the climate of staff, and our relationship with clients? It's an ongoing process to check in with yourself and to check in with the organization, to understand the system and your affect on the system's cognition, on the system's behavior, and how does that affect the clients? How does it affect the staff? So those are the 5 disciplines, and now we're going to move into the learning organization, learning activity. So for this activity, I kind of altered it so that it would be able to be effective and delivered online. In the next set of slides, you'll be given a learning discipline and an extended definition. If you could connect your training content, an activity, any part of your curriculum with your learning organization discipline, feel free to research beyond your definition. I've expanded the definitions for each learning discipline for you, but feel free to research beyond what's already given to you. And in your response, you can use pictures, videos, sounds, or anything that relates to curriculum and relates to your understanding of the discipline that you received. Describe your learning organization discipline on the discussion board, or just comment on this training video, and feel free to offer your peers support with their discipline connection to their curriculum. So the first one is team learning, and I gave this to Tammy G for her training on the Banner Online Effort Certification. For all of these disciplines, don't worry, I included another handout with the extended definitions, including this entire PowerPoint presentation there. So you can reference that, and you don't have to write down this definition while you're looking at this presentation. So for Tammy G, I gave you team learning for Banner Online Effort Certification. I'm basing these on the learning objectives that everyone posted. And I think this will be really interesting as it compares to your training on the UNH Banner Online Effort Certification. And Amanda, based on your learning objectives, I thought it would be great if you took on shared vision, the learning objectives for the Banner navigation. Here's a definition. Again, don't worry that I printed out the PowerPoint handouts and attached them to my upload of this presentation. And Farhan, I saw your case ads interview learning objective, and I thought you could benefit from exploring mental models as a learning organization discipline. And Sharon, I saw your learning objectives regarding money in, money out, with the debt ratio and financial training. So I thought personal mastery would be great for you to explore as a discipline. And last but not least, Ashley, I thought your learning objectives for conflict resolution would really benefit from the systems thinking discipline. Here's the extended definition, and I hope you enjoy it. So this is the end of my presentation, and after you do your learning discipline and talk about it as it relates to your curriculum, I really do feel like we'll fulfill our agenda that we started out with at the beginning of this training. Before I go over these agenda topics and hopefully where we're at, certain questions that we can ask at the end after our discussion, I just want to say thank you. I really enjoyed reading everyone's posts online, the resources that everyone shared, and I really enjoyed sharing this really fast-paced experience on individual and organizational development. In terms of the agenda, Did we meet the learning objective as a group? Did you guys meet them individually? Do we know collectively what a learning organization is based on the examples that were given individually, your report outs on the discipline that you received? Did you learn from the group, from the report out on the discipline, about what a learning organization is? Did you get a better understanding of one of the disciplines that one of your colleagues presented out on? Did you learn from what you reported out on about your learning discipline? Did you find any connections? Did you find something that is very specific to that discipline and only to that discipline? And if this was an in-classroom training, I would say, do you feel like you have everything you wanted for your poster presentation? And again, the poster presentation is a way for me to evaluate if they understand the content as it relates to DCYF and their training content, things that they'll present on. Again, thank you so much. Sorry about my voice. It's very nasally. I'm more of an classroom trainer, in-class trainer. I have a very lively presence. And I hope I see you guys in another class. Thanks again.